Oh my gosh, I'm so sick of seeing the same decks over and over and over again. Let's switch things up and keep things interesting with these 10 commanders. First off, we've got Grenzo Dungeon Warden. It's an X, black and red, Goblin Rogue. It's a 2/2, but it enters with X +1/+1 counters on it. And you can pay 2 to put the bottom card of your library into your graveyard. And if it's a creature card with less than Grenzo's power, you put it directly onto the battlefield. This is awesome. So you could do really anything. So it could be any creature. You could do goblins, you could do, just to keep it thematic, or whatever, black red stuff. But what's really fun is you use Epitaph Golem and Tel Gilad Stylus to put a card from your graveyard on the bottom of your library, so you know exactly what you're getting with Grenzo for 2 mana, and then you can pump Grenzo however much you want, and you're doing all sorts of stuff. You can even search your library for the cards you want to put in there. And then we've got something like the Cauldron of Eternity, so it costs less for creatures in your graveyard, and whenever a creature you control dies, put it on the bottom, so that manipulates as well. And then it's got that last ability too, that's very similar to Grenzo. But to keep things even better, to make it cheaper, you can put Hearthstone in the deck and make the active ability cost less. And so you're just putting stuff out for nearly free, which is awesome. And then you can use Ashnod's Altar or something similar, and then you're just cycling creatures, because then even if you don't have Hearthstone out, you can you sacrifice the creature to the altar, and then you pay the 2 for Grenzo. And I don't know, there's got to be a loop there. Anyway, so that's a fun idea. I just never see Grenzo. Maybe back in the day he was popular, but I just have not seen him. Next is Melek Reforged Researcher from the Clue set. I will never call it its full name. It's the Clue set. But 3 red, blue. It's star, so its power and toughness are each equal to twice the number of instants and sorceries in your graveyard, which is already really cool. And the first instant or sorcery spell you cast each turn costs 3 less to cast, which is just insane. You can do all sorts of stuff with this. And in the deck, you can even put old Melek in there, so the original Melek, which lets you play with the top card of your library revealed. You can cast the top card of your library if it's an instant or sorcery, and then you can copy those instants and sorceries, which is just so cool. So those two pair very nicely with each other. I don't know, you put some red and blue weirds in there, Experimental Overlord, Thunderheads, all the weird tribal stuff, and then you can do something like Dragon Shift, which costs less because of Melek, and you just turn all your things into 4/4 red and blue dragons for the turn. I don't know, there's something with this, and it's just a fun spell slinger deck. I don't think I've ever seen Melek used, just because, I don't know, that Clue set was divisive, and I think a lot of people just didn't even bother. So, at least as far as in my area. All right, if you want a 5-color deck, we've got Jensen Carthalion Druid Exile. When it's just cost green and white. It's a 2/2 human druid. It's not an elf. He looks like an elf from a distance, but it's a human. just so you're aware. And whenever you cast a multicolored spell, you scry 1. But if that spell was all colors, create a 4/4 white angel with flying and vigilance. And then he acts as a Wooburg mana filter. But what's really cool is you can put stuff like Falaji Wayfarer, Sphinx of the Guild Pact, and Transguild Courier, which are just all color spells that just make you a 4/4 angel with vigilance. That's just super cool. I actually have Jensen in my Jared Carthalion deck. If you want to check that out, that's right here. And it's so fun. All right, this next one, you're really gonna have to get some permission from your play group, but I say this is legal. Throne of the Grim Captain. It's a 2-mana legendary artifact. You can tap it to mill 2 cards. And that's basically it, until you craft it with a dinosaur, a merfolk, a pirate, and a vampire for 4 mana. So you exile each one of those and pay 4 from your permanents you control and cards in your graveyard, and then you transform it. We'll get to the transform part here in a second, but basically you just put in all sorts of stuff. So this is technically a just black commander, because on the back is just black, but you can put dinosaurs like Tetsamok, Primal Death, and Rampaging Spiketail. It's got Swamp Cycling, so it'll be in your graveyard. And then you put like Blood Artist, and Marrow and Bone Gnawer, and then you got Pitiless Plunderer, Changeling Outcast, which is all things. And then you could do Buried Alive, and then you can just search for stuff like up above in Grenzo. This one, you just search for 3 of the creatures that you need and put them in, and then you transform the Grim Captain, and it transforms into a black 7/7 Skeleton Spirit Pirate. and it's got Menace, Trample, Lifelink, and Hexproof. And whenever it attacks, each opponent sacrifices a non-land permanent. Then you can put an exiled creature card used to craft it onto the battlefield under your control, tapped and attacking. So then it just recycles the creatures you just exiled. Man, this thing it kind of loops a little bit. I mean, it's a slow loop, but I just think it's really fun. I love just all the things happening. But if your play group allows this, I say this is a really fun and unique commander. Next, we just got a kobold, Rosnacht, Heir of Roga. 1 mana, 0/1 with Battle Cry. It's a kobold warrior with Battle Cry. Whenever this creature attacks, each other attacking creature gets +1/+0 till end of turn. Pretty cool. And it's got Heroic, so whenever you cast a spell that targets Rosnacht, you create a 0/1 kobold, or kobolds of Kirkeep. This is just so funny to me. I love this commander so much. Basically, everything in the deck is going to be more or less 1 mana. So you're just going to have a bunch of kobolds of Kirkeep because you just cast things that target her, and then you just make 0/1s, and then she's got Battle Cry, so when you attack, you just attack with a whole bunch of little kobolds. So you cast like Brute Force, get +3/+3, Dynacharge, get +2/+0, and you can overload that one, and you just do a bunch of things. It's like First Strike and Double Strike and all the red things. It's so funny, and everything can be like 1 to 3 mana, and you just go ham. Turn 1, you got Rosnacht out, and then you just hitting with gas constantly. I just think this is so fun. You could have so many red kobolds out, and man, it'll just be really funny. Next one, if you like clues, there's Lonus, Cryptozoologist, Snake Elf Scout, 1/2 for blue and green. Whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, you investigate. So you make a clue, and then you can tap it and sacrifice X clues, and then a target opponent reveals the top X cards of their library, and you can put a non-land permanent with mana value X or less from among them on the battlefield under your control, and then they shuffle. So you're just digging through other people's decks and just playing their stuff, which is pretty fun. I don't know. Then there's a bunch of stuff that gets clues. You know, you got Deduce or Transmutation Font, Uvenwald Mysteries. If you want even more, you got Academy Manufacturer and Parallel Lives, so you're making even more clues every time you do stuff. I don't know. It's really cool, and you're basically playing your opponent's decks a little bit, which I think is a pretty novel concept. A lot of people don't like that, but you know, I can see why. But honestly, it's kind of fun, and it's not just like I put this down and I steal half your library, right? It's like, I have to build up, get enough clues, and then sacrifice, and then I can only get one thing, right? And so it's a little bit slow, but it's also really quite fun. Now, if you like blue and white, you've got Malcator Purity Overseer, which is a Phyrexian Elephant Wizard. It's a 1/1. When it enters, you create a 3/3 colorless Phyrexian Golem. At the beginning of your end step, if 3 or more artifacts entered under your control this turn, you created another 3/3. You could go a number of ways, or just all the same, or all in one, I guess, from these suggestions. But you can just make more of those tokens with Anointed Procession or Mondrak, right? And just make double or triple your tokens, what have you, and you're just cooking with gas with all these golems. And then you put in stuff like the splicers, so Blade Splicer, Darksteel Splicer, Master Splicer, and Wing Splicer, which all give your golems keywords, and they all enter with a golem. And then you can do stuff that's just Cheerios type stuff, 0-cost artifacts, Spellbook, Tormod's Crypt, you know, and then you got the lands, Ancient Den, Seed of the Synod, right? You just have to have 3 non-token artifacts enter under your control, which might be easier than you think, especially in those colors. And then you're just gonna have a bunch of golems, and then you can swing with golems, or you can sacrifice them and do cool control effects with, I don't know, combo type effect. I don't know. This deck, you could go a bunch of different ways. I like the splicers personally. But yeah, just kind of a fun blue-white deck that you might not see coming, and you've probably never seen. All right, this next one is, I don't really have much explanation for it. I just think it's funny. We just got Minichi the Fevered Dream from the original Kamigawa. It's just a 2 in a red spirit. It's a 1/2, and you can pay 1 in a red to switch each creature's power and toughness till end of turn. It's just so dumb. I don't know what you would do with this. Or the only thing I could really think of when I was looking for this last night was you make it some sort of like Voltron deck. So you put stuff like a Quarter Shield and Cathar Shield, and just make its toughness like way big, and then just make it unblockable in the swing, and then you just switch its power and toughness. You manipulate the battlefield to how you want it. Like you could have 2 different people in combat, and you're like, oh, there you go. There, all your stuff is switched. Anyway, it's just funny. I've got nothing else for that. Chomano. So Chomano Revolutionary is probably the best mono white Voltron deck. 2 white, 2/2 Human Rebel. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to Chomano. Just all damage. Stick on a Loxodon Warhammer and just swing. It's very fun. I actually made another video with other suggestions for mono white Voltron commanders if you want to check that out. But it's really cool. But you also put on a Pariah's Shield. So all damage that would be dealt to you is dealt to it instead. So you just don't take any damage ever. It's just a pain in the butt. It's really funny and just fun. And I think that's really cool and I like it. Don't be mad. All right, lastly, we've got Errant and Giada, which is another Azorius commander. Human Angel 2/3. It's got flash and flying. And you can look at the top card of your library at any time, and you can cast spells with flash or flying from the top of your library. This is just kind of a neat flash and flying combo deck that you could just do a lot with. You cocould put in just flying and flash creatures like Plume Veil, Thunderclap Wyvern, Tobias Doomed Conqueror, Wrangler of the Damned, right? Just a bunch of stuff that has flash. And all of these do different certain things. And like Wrangler of the Damned, like at the beginning of your end step, if you haven't cast a spell from your hand this turn, you create a 2/2 spirit with flying. And the commander lets you cast off the top of your library. So then technically that it gets around it. You just kind of got some cool synergies. But then you can use like Brainstorm Ponder and Sensei's Divining Top to manipulate the top of your library. So you're always able to cast what you want off the top. And you just make just a flying or flash type deck, and it's just cool. I don't know, like you could go almost anywhere with that, but it's a cool effect that I really think is, I mean, I haven't ever seen this. You could also just do angels, right? Just put Giada in there, just a regular white one, and then you got something cool that your friends are like, whoa, blue-white angels, who knew, right? So anyway, it's just kind of neat ideas. Hopefully all of these were cool to you. If they weren't, let me know down below. And then I won't read the comment. But then, like, share, subscribe, and Scrabble. And then thank you for my Patreon subscribers for real. And thank you to Milkman Proxies and TCGplayer as well. They're awesome. Catch you guys next week for your weekly dose of magic.